Hello, folks, and welcome to the Joe Morley Sports Show. I am Joe Morley. Today, we're going to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and the 2020 season preview for the Eagle fans out there. So here's your head coach, Doug Pederson. You guys all know him. He's the guy that took you to the promised land, right? Won that Super Bowl that Andy Reid couldn't do in 2017. He actually was the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs before taking over the Eagles' job. He actually played quarterback in the NFL himself, and he played with Dan Marino, Brett Favre, Donovan McNabb, and he worked for Andy Reid and had the Colts' current coach, Frank Reich, work for him. So you guys know him. He's 28 and 26 in his career, or 38 and 26 in his career. You guys are probably happy with him as your head coach, right? There's probably no problems with him as your head coach. Here's the 2019 team rankings last year. Not bad, right? For a team that went 9-7, the rankings aren't bad. They had to win the last 4 games in a row to win the division and make the playoffs. Hey, it happened, but it seemed like injuries killed this team, right? It's like they had no depth at all, and wide receivers. I think only one wide receiver played all 16 games. So of course they struggled. Of course they weren't going to win as many games, and they were in a lot of close games. So, I mean, if you look, passing, rushing, 11th, defense, 10th. But their defense just couldn't stop the pass. I mean, every team passed on them, right? Every team was throwing on them, and it just killed them. But even their cornerbacks couldn't stay on the field. So their secondary was always depleted. They didn't have a consistent secondary back there. Both offenses and defense were 4th best on third down. So the offense converted on third down. They just didn't sustain the drives. And right there, and the defense would stop them on third down. They would get off the field, but every once in a while they give up that long pass, and it's just it's unbelievable. So the Eagles aren't a bad team. It's just they didn't have depth, and when injuries kick your butt for a while, it's going to be hard. So you got to get that consistency going. I mean, Maddox, Darby, Mills, Douglas, they were in and out of the secondary the whole time. So here's your quarterback, Carson Wentz, right? He gets that. Everybody talks about Carson Wentz and talks about how injury prone he is, and it's always like, you know what? Name a better duo: Carson Wentz in the hospital. I dare you. Come on, Carson Wentz has missed 8 games in his career. 8 games, in 5 of them because of the injury. So it was 3 1 year, and then 2 the next year, and then he had that back injury, which he missed 3 games. So 8 in the total of of the couple of seasons. But other than that, he's been fine. He played all the games last year. He played 16 games last year. I think he's getting a bad rap for the injury stuff. Yeah, he missed the Super Bowl. It was bad, but they still went on and won it. I mean, it's still his team. He's still 11-2 when he went down. I mean, I don't know what people are knocking on him on Wentz so much. He's a pretty good quarterback. I mean, you could have Mitchell Trubisky if you want to go that route. But here he is, 4,000 yards last year, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Not bad, right? Almost 64% completion. I'd round it up to 64. Say that's 64. With no wide receivers, not bad, right? Jeffries didn't play as much. Desean Jackson only played, 1 or 2 games. He was gone. And then Aguilar dropping the balls don't help it out. So I don't know. I think Carson Wentz is one of the best, I would say, top 10 quarterback in the league. Here's your superstars on the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, everybody knows Fletcher Cox. He kind of had a bad down year last year. He had 40 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. But he was leading that defense. Great one. Lane Johnson, the offensive tackle, great pro offensive tackle. He got hurt. Was last year, played only 12 games, but he only had 5 penalties last year, so it's not bad. Not bad for an offensive lineman. He's probably one of the best in the league at his position. Darius Slade comes over from the Detroit Lions. Good pickup. You needed secondary help. Why not go get one of the best defenders in the league, right? And he has 19 career interceptions. I would say that he was kind of down last year. If you look at his stats the last couple of years, he's given up 50% of the reception, targets thrown his way. So he's given up 50% of it. But he was playing for the Lions, where they're always getting beat, and there's nobody else. There's no defense on that team, so they're always getting beat. So, and he didn't want to be there. He didn't want to play for Matt Patricia, and now he's gone. He actually has the motivation to actually be good again and play for the Eagles. So I think he's going to pick it up a little bit even more and and Eagle fans are going to fall in love with him. Zach Ertz. That's your tight end, right? 916 yards receiving, 6 touchdowns. Everybody loves Zach Ertz. Here's the draft class from last year. They kind of threw me off when they went Jalen Hurts. Everybody knew they were going to go wide receiver. They were like, so getting Ragar is not a bad pickup. It's actually one of a good pickup. In the wide receiver class this year, it was a very depth chart class. A lot of wide receivers in this class. So they took the guy that they liked. Jalen Hurts, I don't know. I don't see it, and I don't know what they're planning to do with him. Because he wants to play quarterback. And everybody's like, whoa, when Wentz goes down, right? When Wentz goes down, we'll put him. No, because Wentz ain't going to go down. I don't think he's going to go down. And plus, Jalen Hurts, he's hit and miss, right? He did get beat out at Alabama. Did we forget about that? He did kind of start disappearing at the end of last season, right, in the college football. So they're going to have to find out what they're going to do with him. Kayvon Wallace, I like him as a safety. The rest of the guys, like I've been saying, the rest of the guys from round 5 all the way down are they're basically, they threw a dart and hope they miss, or hope they catch one, right? Because not a lot of recruiting and scouting got to go on this year. So those late round draft picks are they're going to be hits or miss, and hopefully you hit on more than you miss. Here's the offensive depth chart for the Eagles. Brandon Brooks is in red because you could tell that he is out for the season. He just got hurt a couple of days ago, another knee injury. Miles Sanders he's getting a lot of love this offseason, especially in the fantasy football world. A lot of people are falling in love with him because Jordan Howard's gone. He had 818 yards rushing last year, 509 receiving, and 6 touchdowns. I think he was a very big beneficiary of the Eagles offense being down, a lot of injuries. So why not use the only guy that you had, right? Is him, Ertz, and Goddard is basically all they had. So why not use them? But then the Boston Scott came on at the end of the year, right? They started feeding Scott more in the end zone or in the red zone, but Scott had a fumbling problem. He had 4 fumbles, but Scott had 245 yards rushing and 204 receiving and 5 TDs. So I think those two right there, there's a reason they got rid of Jordan Howard, because Boston Scott could come on and be the guy. So I don't know. I would lower expectations on Miles Sanders. He's a great running back. I always liked him. I liked him when he was at Penn State. But I would lower it just a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit. He's still he's still a second-round fantasy football player. He's still going to be a great running back in this league, but I wouldn't say that he's the clear-cut number 1 guy yet. I would say that he's probably like 60%, and then Boston Scott's going to be 40%, and Scott might be the one that steals all the touchdowns, right? Alshon Jeffrey is back. Hopefully he stays healthy, and like the Eagles have been saying, the Eagles have been putting out there, the offense should run through Jeffrey. Like, they need him 100% to be out there. He missed 6 games last year. He had 409 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. He's a big target for Carson Wentz, so he needs to be on the field. Desean Jackson, he's a playmaker, right? He's the guy who spreads that field, and he'll take that defender over the top and open stuff up below. So Desean Jackson needs to stay on the field. Goodwin, I know I was happy for the Eagles when they made this trade on draft day. I thought it was a good trade. But then, when you actually look down, and he hasn't done anything since 2017. He has, 35 catches for less than 600 yards and 2 TDs in the last 2 years. So in 2017, he had a big breakout year. And then after that, injuries have got to him. So he needs to stay healthy. J.J. Whiteside, we'll see what he does. He wasn't really impressive last year. We'll see. Zach Ertz, like I already talked about Zach Ertz. And I think the guy taking a lot of targets from Zach Ertz is right there, Dallas Goedert. And I remember having Ertz on my fantasy team last year, and I was always mad because it seemed like they weren't using Ertz and Goddard at the same time. And I don't know, that's just me. I don't watch Eagles every game. I don't watch every single game, but the games I did watch, it was like, why can't these two guys play at the same time and take it off the top? It always seemed like one was on the sideline while the other one was out there making plays. That's just me. You could tell me if I'm wrong, but that's what it seemed like to me, and it seemed like Goddard was always stealing my fantasy points from Ertz. He finished with 607 yards and 5 TDs. So, I don't know. I think they need to come up with more plays, and the Eagles are always better when they have more tight ends going, and they're using every weapon that they can. Offensive line, It was looking pretty good until the Brandon Brooks injury. We'll see what they do right there at guard. See what they move around. They could move some people around, maybe make a trade or two. We never know. But that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to get somebody for that offensive line. And here's the defense. The defense, I'm a big Schwartz fan. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a great coach. So I think I always like his defenses. Brandon Graham, one of the best players, right? It has to be. If not Fletcher Cox, is him, the leader of this defense. He had 50 tackles, 8.5 sacks last year, so he's good. I already talked about Fletcher Cox. I brought in Hargrave from Pittsburgh and from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has in his career 168 tackles, 14.5 sacks in his career, so he's going to be there. I think he'll be a good inside guy right there. Barnett needs to show up a little bit more this year. He was a first-round draft pick, but he'll get there. He had 6.5 sacks last year, so I can't really ask him to do much more, but I think he'll get there. The linebackers is where we're kind of going to be iffy, right? Jerry was your second leading tackler now behind Malcolm Jenkins when he's gone. He's gone now, so Gary is your new leading tackler. So he's going to have a new role. You get Brown from the Chargers. He didn't really play much last year. But when he did play the year before, when Brown actually got the chance to play the year before, he was like a tackling machine. He had like 80 tackles. So he's going to get his chance. Same thing with Singletary. He didn't really play. So this is his first year. So the linebacker position is going to be where you're going to be looking like, oh, hopefully these guys show up. Like I already talked about Slay, Mills. Mills he played cornerback last year. He played all around. So let's see. McLeod is probably your best secondary guy. He had 76 tackles, 2 interceptions last year. Sideny Jones. How long have Eagles fans been waiting to see if Sideny Jones is going to come back? We know he got hurt. In college his last year he had to sit out a little bit. But we're waiting for him to come back. I know he missed a couple games last year, but this needs to be the year that he breaks out. They brought in Roby Coleman. Hopefully he does some stuff. Rasul Douglas. There's been a lot of. I know I heard his name a lot in trade talks this year, but I think he'll stick around. I don't think they'll trade him this time. But that secondary just needs to be consistent. But I would be more worried about that linebacker position than anything else. That's just because you have so many young guys that haven't played, don't have a lot of playing time out there, and then there wasn't really an off season. They're going to cut the preseason down, so that's where I would be looking at. Here's your schedule. Open up against the Redskins, not bad, right? Then you got to play the Rams, Bengals. So you're looking like probably at 2-1, 3-0, right? Not bad. Then you get hit hard. You got the 49ers, the Steelers, the Ravens. Then you got the Giants, the Giants, that's a division game. And Eagle Giant games are always good, right? It doesn't matter if one team is 10-6 or 10-0 and the other one's 0-10. Those games are always good. The Cowboys, then they have their bye week. The back half of the schedule is not bad. It's winnable, not bad. But they got the Packers, the Saints, the Cardinals. So they got some teams in there that can make some noises. So it's not a tough schedule, but I'm going to go 8-8. That's my prediction. If you don't like it, let me know. Put it down in the comments. Let me know what I missed. A high of 12-4. If some of these teams that they're playing don't do good, or they get hot and their offense stays and everybody stays healthy and they keep going and those linebackers show up and they have no problems on defense, I'll go 12-4. But I can also see them, a couple injuries here. The same thing happens as last year. The wide receivers go down or your secondary can't get it together. 6-10. So, I'll go 8-8 as of right now. Here's your salary cap for the next couple of years. Right now, they're sitting at $24 million, which is not bad. They're going to sign some of those rookies, get them under contract. But next year, I was looking at this number and I was like, you got to be kidding me, right? Negative $50 million already. Of course, it won't be $50 million. It'd probably be more like 47, 46, depending on how much more money the NFL gives them next year when they up the cap. And that's basically what they do every year. The good thing is they have no big free agents. They have nobody like a big name as a free agent. So they don't have to re-sign anybody. But I was trying to look like, how can they cut money? Where can they cut the money from next year? And, Desean Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey, and Marquise Goodwin will save them $20 million if they just cut those three right there. That's $20 million in their pocket. Barnett would be another 10, so you're looking at 30. And then they'd have to go talk to Brandon Brooks, who's been injured the last 2 years, see if he'll restructure some money, and maybe Graham. Those are the guys that they would have to hit up to restructure some money, and they could probably get it down. But then even that, you're looking at being right at the salary cap. So the Eagles have some tough choices to make in the next year or so of what they're going to do, who they're going to get rid of, just to get under the salary cap because, I mean, $50 million. Wow. Wow. So, I don't know. I'm going 8-8 with the Philadelphia Eagles. I know you probably don't like that as an Eagle fan, but let me know below what I missed, what I didn't miss. Try to convince me why you guys think you should win more games. What I missed. Tell me the player that I missed. Tell me what makes this team go and what you see has them win. Because right now I have you 8-8, and that would be second place in the division. I have you below the Cowboys. So second place below the Cowboys. That's just me. So I want to know what you guys think. What am I missing? Because like I told you, I don't watch every Eagle game. I watch, I probably watch 4, 5, 6 games. But that's just me. So let me know what you guys think. I'm Joe Morley from Joe Morley Sports Show. You can check me out at joemorleysports.com. You can listen to my podcast on everywhere that you can, Spotify, iHeartRadio, everything. You can find me on Instagram. That's where I do my daily stuff. And you're more than welcome to hit me up on there. I talk to everybody that hits me up. So just hit me up. Eagle fans, let me know. Get back to me. All right, guys, stay healthy.